G'day, welcome back to this episode. So as you can tell by the thumbnail, the engine has been dynoed. I've been over to Adelaide and I went through a bit of a roller coaster ride to get the engine to where it's at. So this one's going to be a good one, enjoy. Okay, so I've just rolled up at Competition Automotive. It's where the engine's going to get dynoed, and Connor's the man that owns this business. So Tony and Connor are inside, and you go in. The engine's already on the stand, ready to go. So it's pretty exciting. Going to have a bit of a look and a listen to what they do, and then we'll fire it up. So let's go inside.
Did it get oil pressure?
Yeah.
Yep.
Just didn't.
Wasn't real happy, was it?
Didn't. I don't know whether the timing was down or just didn't really want to run. But they can't even. Have you checked the base on that at all?
No. Oh, it had 22 degrees.
No, on the mixture. Sorry.
So what's going on there? Is it just didn't?
It's been a little bit grumpy. Yeah, they were about 3.
3 turns out.
Oh, sorry.
1.5 turns.
3 half turns. Yeah.
Give you all the joy.
Yes. That belt, I reckon. That feels good. Yeah.
Well, try again.
Yep.
We got no compression, man. Just watch your fingers for a second.
Yeah. Go again. What was the run? Didn't sound good, but
Yeah, that. I thought it was
Fucking,
built, but something just like.
someone told me the other day, and I hope this isn't the case,
Yeah, I know what you're going to say. I hope you're not going to say about the cam.
the cam bearings, they had a bad batch. I fucking hope not, because that sucks. There's a fucking bad batch of cam bearings, and the fuckers seized.
Right.
And that squeak sounded horribly like the fucking bearing squeak, and now it's got no comp, which possibly it sheared the fucking cam pin.
Man, yeah.
Fucking.
Didn't even get it up to fucking RPMs like.
I had another one the other day that did this. And
Really?
it's fucking, well, it didn't seize completely, but it started to get tight. This is a injected blown 355. It started to get tight.
Yep.
It's like, that's not good. And we fucking pulled it down, and it just started to pick up the bearings. And this would have been around the same time as that.
So this worst case scenario is just, it just happened basically.
Yeah.
We
really got to check, pull her off,
pull the covers
check
off.
where the timing,
Let's see if
check
the
where the cam
timing's
timing is.
moved or not.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
You need a hand?
I think we should.
Well, I might be able to crane in here and do it here.
Yeah, maybe bring it up.
Be a bit awkward, but we can make it happen. So
Which way do you want the car? You want
it doesn't matter, I'm going to take the head off the back of it, so it doesn't really matter. So if you just bring it out, I'll just pop it in, we'll bring the crane here, big. Stay moving everything outside. 1 metal.
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh,
in
yeah.
there. So get rid of, you see that?
Yeah. So that was just wearing it out.
That's the one.
And that-
The bearing material just getting.
And that's when it
in,
just
in 13 seconds.
But yeah. They're sensitive, aren't they?
And you see the camshaft come out
Yeah.
relatively easy.
Yeah, yeah.
And you swear that there's no way in the world that can
No.
seize up in 13 seconds. Just a little bit of heat. So God only knows
Why they're doing that.
what they're made out of to expand at that greater rate. You know, obviously they must expand.
Too fast.
I mean, normally plan bearing, you can get it where it drags a little bit and you still have no issues.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, not 100% sure what's going on there, but
Yeah, okay.
definitely,
Got it at the right time though.
definitely something not right with the bearing. That's for sure.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you have a look here as well. You can't see it on camera, but you can feel it yourself where the journal stops right here.
Yeah.
You feel it. You feel the lip
Yeah.
of how much it's dug into it. See the lip all
But that
the
would
way
have
around?
only happened when it started to heat up.
Yep. Yep. There's a material.
And
right
usually
there.
oil's sitting inside
Yes.
and outside.
Yeah,
there.
it's got all that
Yeah.
assembly. Where's the atomic of it? You use the same stuff that you put on the seals, Tony?
Yeah, the green fucking
The
blue.
green stuff. Yeah, I remember.
You look in the seal here. You can see what he's got in here. So, see all that grey stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
So everything's coated. So not like it's dry to say that it's picked up because it's dry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Wipe that up, Pete. We'll put that back in.
All right, so a bit of an update. It's currently Sunday morning, 8:30. I've been back into Adelaide City, stayed the night in a hotel, and I am back at just about to go into Con's factory again to do the whole thing again, because yesterday when we fired it up, you saw actually seized a cam bearing.
Like that.
And literally the engine ran for 13 seconds and then it just seized and you heard it screech. Tony reckons that there has been a series, or the last 2 or 3 engines that he's done, he's used them, they've all done the same thing, so he reckons there's a faulty batch. So we swapped them over to a Dura bearing. They assembled it. We basically spent all day yesterday that was supposed to be doing the dyno. We've reassembled it, put the cam back in, checked it all. It's all back on the dyno again. They stayed back, so I had to shoot off. And so I'm just about to start, and we'll start the whole process again. So fingers crossed. I'm bloody tired, and it's been a bit of an ordeal. So I'm hoping that today everything comes out fine and we have a good dyno run. So here we go.
to about 190 degrees, somewhere around there.
Yep.
And then shut it down, let it cool. We've got 8 minutes in, so yeah, we'll probably get close on. We're going to have to do it in 2 hits probably. But,
Yep.
yeah.
So
It's just nice not to get the oil too hot while you're bedding the cam in, because then it gets too thin and it's
Right.
that's something else you're not going to monitor in the car. You're not going to be monitoring oil temp. So.
Yeah. What's that doing, Tony?
I'm just getting it on top dead centre, number 1.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'll just follow the firing order around. There we go.
This is for the inner springs now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right, these are the Crane Energizers.
They were the one you said that we got lucky on.
One of the last sets in existence.
They'll make copies of them, but it's just under a different brand, or is that?
No, they're gone.
That is it.
Yeah.
And what made them so good, or is it just that you like them?
Oh, they're just good. Like they're
Made in Australia, or
no,
made in America?
made in the US.
Right.
But you know, these are the Crane Golds were the go-to. They're like really fucking strong for roller cams and everything.
Yeah.
But for your basic stuff, these were reasonably priced and a good rocker. Now, for the mild engines, roller cams really not necessary.
Right.
I actually prefer a solid flat tappet to a small hydraulic roller.
Right.
Just more reliable, give less issues.
There must be mangroves or something around here, is there? I can smell. When I was driving on the highway, I could smell that kind
Oh no,
of oxidising.
no,
seaweed.
that's a fucking
Shit farm.
sewage treatment plant.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just.
Is it?
Out that way.
Yeah.
I wasn't too sure if I'd shat myself on the way on the highway. I
Yeah,
thought,
no.
what's going on?
What the fuck? Yeah.
Have a check. That's the tool you were talking about, isn't it?
The spring compressor.
Yeah.
These ones are killer. This is a Morosso one.
How much do they do? If you're only going to do it once, then you wouldn't. You
You
don't
know
need
what?
to.
The pain it saves, even if you're doing it once, you'd buy one.
Really?
Yeah. They're not much. I think they're like 100. Actually, I couldn't tell you. Maybe $150 or something.
Yeah.
like
Okay.
that.
Yep. Now, by seeing all this and going through what's happened, I'm so glad that I've come back
Yeah.
and avoided a bloody disaster for one at
Yeah.
my house, but also just doing this. I think over the guard, freshly painted. No,
Yep.
no thanks. I think it's good for other people to see as well, because like got a lot of young fellas messaging me. They want to do their engines up and stuff, and it's like there's all these pitfalls that you can fall into if you don't understand it.
Because it seems like a lot of money up front, but realistically, it's not. By the time you look at all the benefits and shit.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree. And also, it's good to see what it can make power once you've got through all the breaking in process.
Yeah. You know exactly what it makes.
Yeah. How much will that say it makes whatever, say 450? What would that relay to the wheels once it's in the car?
Varies a lot.
I think I asked that last time.
Yeah, you can't really say. Like a chassis dyno is, unless it's a manual transmission, a chassis dyno is just a tuning tool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But depending on the converter, how well it locks up, all your different gear ratios.
Right. So really, you want to dyno it again if you really were hungry to find out what it made of the wheels.
Yeah.
But I don't really care.
No. I mean, through an auto, it varies that much. Like a different converter can make it 30 ruble horsepower difference. So it's kind of pointless.
Yep.
5, 6.
Water temperature, fuel pressure, so even at that pressure, it's still dropped off half a pound.
Yep.
All pressure's good. The release rate, okay.
GGTs are okay under load. She's a bit.
Yeah, it's just number 2 is our hottest cylinder.
Yeah.
So we have to
Number
have a bit
2 and 4. So we can
more.
put
Well,
a
1
bit.
and 2 is probably, well,
Oh, 2 and 4 are off the
4,
same, so we can put a bit more fuel in that one.
cylinder, in that
Yeah.
one jet.
Well, she's a bit fat.
Still got the reach, but still early. But we're going to give more timing, so it's going to get richer again.
Yeah.
Okay, room temperature, tank temperature, 0 correction.
Vacuum's good.
0.43, okay.
Alright, so maybe
Right,
just spin
so-
a bit harder now so we can start fiddling with the timing. And now we can fiddle with the timing. And we've got our baseline. And we don't have to get out the timing light every time.
All right. So you can just move it
Yeah, no.
left or right.
Boom. Put 2 degrees in it.
Okay. Obviously, the tighter the timing, the more power.
Well, up to a
Or it
point.
just gets more efficient, yeah?
Yeah, well, I mean, motors will like a certain amount of timing, and
Yeah.
either side of that, it'll drop off power.
Yeah, okay.
So-
Yep.
Hey, yep.
Yeah, a little better, but I don't think we need
Pretty
any more
close
than that. Yeah.
And now it's jet time.
It's making it really smooth.
Yeah, it is. It's nice. I'll turn the fan off because we're going to be doing jetting this time, aren't we?
Well, you know what, Tony? It's pretty close, actually.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. Yeah, still a little bit on the weak side.
A little fat,
so,
but yeah, maybe
you
we just spin it a bit harder.
We'll see what it does. I mean, look, yeah.
Should we pull a plug out, have a look at timing line?
Definitely. I'll
And,
tell you what.
what's our hot one?
Let's have a look. We say 2 and 4, do we?
Yeah, looks like
Take your pick.
four.
Let's take number 2 out.
Two's easier.
Yeah. What size is this car? Is it 650, 750?
750.
Yeah,
So what did that make
might be
then?
right on.
Was that 408 then, was it?
Okay, let's go back here. I'll go to what you want to see.
Oh, 14.
You talk. Looks like it's peaked at 4,900.
Pretty good. Might even have just a degree too much. What do you reckon?
Pull another one out, Tony.
Yeah,
You know how
take-
sometimes, but yeah, it's not.
It's not real definitive at the moment, is it?
Yeah, a couple more pulls and we'll.
Yeah.
It's not far off.
Yeah, we'll leave it there
Not
for
far.
now.
I would.
Yeah.
I would leave it there. I mean, if you want to. No.
Let's spin it
No,
out
leave it.
harder
I'll
now,
do-
so we
I'll
can.
leave it
Yeah,
at
we'll,
that.
we'll have a look at see what the jetting does up top and
Yeah.
start fiddling with jetting. Maybe flick the fan on until she starts to cool off.
Oh, do you want to cool down? Did you say?
There's no secret sauce in that. It's on that thing. I can film that, can't I?
What's that?
There's no secret sauce like the
Nah.
recipes for KFC or anything.
Did someone say KFC?
Yeah, no.
Pete, put the hat on quickly.
Oh, shit, I'll just throw it back in a sec.
Oh, you might take the bowl off with the bolts in there. So this cheap fuel back in.
Watch it, there's 20 bucks in that little can.
So these are the jets you're replacing now, is it?
Yeah, we'll take the float bowl off and we'll just lean out the rear a little bit. She's a bit rich all over, but the front's nice. So I'll just take a bit of fuel out the rear. Oh look, gasket's not stuck, nice. Shuffle that. You wouldn't be able to hold that there, so it's not flopping on me, would you? And screw driver. Yeah, 84s. Whisk that out of the way so I don't crimp it in there.
Okay.
cooled a bit.
Ready?
Down, didn't like it.
Didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
Goes to show you everything's just different.
Yep.
So like the bigger jets.
It
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
to be a little bit richer.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could even go a bit the other way. Put a bit more in the front because it's a little bit warmer in the front. So put that back in the rear and put a bit more in the front.
In the area. We'll
Yep.
just try and pull in.
Yeah, cool the front down a tad,
Yep.
see what happens.
Because it's richer and the power's down 3 horsepower, 4
Yeah.
horsepower.
Well, I guess we've got to just put something else in and see what
Yeah,
happens.
Well, it's got to be in the jet.
So do we put-
just go a couple of thou smaller?
Yeah. 81 is 2 thou.
Yeah, put an 81s in it.
Yeah.
And if it's under, I'll just abort the run
Yeah.
and go the other way. Ready?
All right, so you saw what just happened. I can't believe it, but the engine has actually broken again. So, you know, it's just the worst luck, or, you know, whatever. There's just a sign of the times with these parts. But it seems that the lifters, as you saw, were getting noisy. It was down on power, and Con decided to call it. And yeah, Tony went in, basically checked the rockers, and the lash was way off, you know, 35,000 or something like that. So on a couple of them. So it was clear to them that it had chewed a lifter of some description, at least one. So basically from that, they said that it would have chewed out a cam as well. The lobes would have been stuffed, and all the lifters would be stuffed as well. So I was like, okay, well, I had to go back into Adelaide, and they're currently chasing a new cam and a new set of lifters, and they're going to have to open up the engine again and see if there's any damage to the balls and things like that, clean it out, reinstall the cam, reinstall the lifters, do all the braking procedure again, and just a nightmare. So I'm just going to go away. Basically, I've got to go and go back to my girlfriend, who's been staying in a hotel very patiently. This is supposed to take a day. We're now going to be on our 3rd day of the dyno. So Con and Tony are going to be working pretty much into the evening to get the engine off the dyno again, get the parts overnight, and then in the morning they're going to rebuild it, and then by about lunchtime hopefully we'll do the braking procedure again. So unbelievable roller coaster ride, but fingers crossed we can get the cam, the 280 solid cam, and a good set of lifters. So stay tuned. All right, so back at Cons, and we've just done the tuning. They actually broke the engine in while I was away, and everything's been good. So they had some 20-year-old lifters that were sitting on Con's bench that he thought he didn't have, and they basically saved the day. So it turns out that those lifters that were in there, they've since changed their supplier and manufacturing to China, and hence that's why there's an issue now. So at the moment we're chasing. It's just pulled its last run, 459 horsepower. So really, really good for a single plane manifold. And so Tony wants to chase that extra 1 horsepower. So we're just having to play around with the distributor. There was some kind of, it's probably not the brand new, the newest distributor going around. So just going to play with a bit of that. And then doing one last run, we'll see if we can make 460, and then that is a wrap. So massive roller coaster of a ride, but let's see if we can make 460. So I'll get back in there. What did you say you're doing? Dropping
The plug gap just down a little bit, give the ignition a slightly easier time.
Okay. Where am I seeing the horsepower when it's
Okay,
live?
while it's warming up, I'll show you. So, we go to
The dark blue line is
that's
horsepower.
horsepower.
Yep, and the actual reading of it is on the left.
Reading of it.
Oh, you don't see the numbers.
You won't see it till we come out of it.
Oh, yeah, okay, and then it's down the bottom,
I
right?
think
That's all right.
some people just monitor the graph, the numbers. I like looking at the graph.
Yeah, yeah.
You can follow it on the way up.
If it's beneath the graph by a fair bit, we abort the run.
Yeah,
No use doing the call if it's miles under it.
yep.
Okay, ready?
Yep. Yep.
So 458.5 it is.
Yep. That's
Not a good idea to wear the engine out.
No.
It's got a baseline in it.
Yeah, that's-
Save is good. We just confirm timing, so Aaron knows what the timing is.
Yeah.
And we just set base idle. You have to do it back in the car again, but it's something that can start on him straight away and he can tinker.
Cool.
What did you say, Aaron? Did you say coffee?
sure. Love a coffee. There we have it. So just finished wrapping up the dyno, and it made 458.5 horsepower. So really, really happy with the result. Not only the fact that we've finished it, but we've actually managed to get that kind of horsepower out of a single plane manifold like that. So in total, there was a 2-inch riser, I think. That extra additional aluminium one there, Tony put on after. You remember when we were assembling the top end, he had that first black one on there, and then that other one made the difference. And also the fact that the lifters are bloody not broken. So that and the new cam have made all the difference, tightened all the gap distances up on the roller rockers, and obviously it's working like it should. So just set the idle then. Obviously when I get it home, I'm going to have to put it in the car, and once it's bolted up to the transmission, then I'll probably have to do a little bit of tweaking with the tune just to get the idle sitting and all that kind of stuff. But pretty much that is a crate engine ready to go into the car. So for those that are thinking about doing dynos, you've just seen what I've been through. If I had to put that in the car, I would have been through an absolute nightmare. And the fact that you've put it in here and you caught all the loose ends, weeded out the issues and the faulty componentry, which shouldn't have been there, but that's just the way of life these days. I would totally recommend doing this as part of your engine building process. So there you go. That is it. There you have it. So that was one hell of a roller coaster ride to get the engine not only performing to its optimum capacity, but also just to make sure that it wasn't going to blow up. And now I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that this was no fault of Tony's, no fault of Con's. Those two were absolute professionals throughout this whole process. They were working on the weekends. Con didn't need to be there on his weekend, but he did it for me and he did it for Tony. And then Tony actually essentially did it for me as well. So Tony's workmanship stood out in the end, and it was solely through faulty componentry and faulty manufacturing that this engine went through the issues that it went through. I don't want to stress that enough. So as I mentioned, so the first issue, which the engine ran for approximately 13 seconds, was the seized bearings. Now it has since been found out that those bearings are now manufactured in China. So a lot of those bearings that do say they are American brands, since the pandemic or whatever's been happening since supply issues and all this kind of stuff has happened during this pandemic, whether it's a shortage of materials or a shortage of manufacturers, some big name brands have shipped their stuff overseas to China. So make sure that you do your due diligence when you're getting componentry, because you can't confirm whether it actually is made in America or made in China. And these were two things that unfortunately occurred on this engine, and Tony was unaware of it. So he's been using the same brands for about 20 years, and this is one of the first time it's happened. And that would have been the issue. So just not hard enough steel, probably too thin a wall, and that bowed out the lifters and basically stuffed the gap up and chewed out the cam at the same time. Since then, Con had some, as you know, had some old lifters which were about 20 years old. It's amazing that going back in time 20 years for componentry is actually a good thing these days for engines with technology, all that. But you know, it just so happens that back then that's where people actually made good stuff, and now, you know, people are cutting corners and left, right, and centre and manufacturing overseas to make the bottom dollar work more for them. And unfortunately, that's coming back. They're not seeing it out their window, but people like myself and smaller engine builders are copying it, or any engine builder really, but they obviously can't track it. So yeah, very, very frustrating, but also just be wary of where your componentry comes from, because this could definitely, if I hadn't have got this on the dyno, I would have put this in the ute and the thing would have grenaded within, you know, if it hadn't seized straight away, it would have grenaded very shortly after. So very thankful that I actually did the dyno, and it gives you an indication as to why it's important to dyno your engines before you put them in the car. Not only would I have been underqualified to do the inner springs, the inner valve springs, once it was run in, but also to pick up the noises and the issues that Con picked up just by pure experience and knowing what an engine should be doing on a dyno. We avoided complete catastrophe on the total engine by having too many metal shavings running through and all this kind of stuff. So we picked it up soon enough, flushed out the engine, we got rid of any kind of debris, and now the engine, as you saw, is making 458 horsepower. Shame we couldn't get to the 460, but hey, I was happy with 450, so 458's a bonus, and also I've got a working engine that's going to be reliable for years to come. So once again, I'd like to thank Tony and Con for an outstanding effort to get to this point. Saved me a lot of effort. A lot of guys probably could have turned their back and just walked away, but they stuck with it, saw it through, and as a result, I've got an engine back here and I couldn't be happier. So thanks again. Give us a thumbs up if you like this one, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.